Hello, welcome to Silver Lining Nation. I'm Linda Jo and I'm an alcoholic. Been sober for 21 years, since June 1st, 2002. We're discussing the topic of unmanageability. In our first episode, we looked at powerlessness and how our powerlessness brought us to our knees, yet we couldn't understand that we were powerless. So we had to make the second topic insanity. Many people in these rooms defined insanity as repeating the same behavior over and over, expecting a different result. I can't tell you how many girls that I have had the privilege of sponsoring that have dated the same type of guy over and over and over. He had the same traits, but they were convinced that this time, this guy, it was different. In the case of alcoholism, I cannot tell you how many times I said, I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to get drunk this time. My ex would always say, Linda Jo, now don't drink that red wine, you slur your speech. I continued to drink red wine, and my speech got slurred every single time. We did things in social situations over and over, expecting things to change. Our social skills were very much skewed. I would think, oh, this time it'll be different. How many times did you wake up from a horrible hangover and say, God, I didn't plan on this? But yet, you liked the feeling of it, and you woke up the next day feeling the exact same way. My mother was very sick emotionally. She was what we called an ACOA, which is an adult child of an alcoholic. My mother really didn't drink, but she had a lot of emotional illness. She was emotionally detached. She always was there for me physically. She was there for me spiritually to take me to church, but she was not there for me emotionally. When I was 8 years old, she looked at me and said, Linda Jo, you need to see a psychiatrist. Well, when you're an 8-year-old little girl, and I was a pretty smart kid in school, I began to think, oh my God, if I need to see a psychiatrist, I must be really sick. So I spent many years over and over and over being the good girl, trying to hide how I really felt, and I would get trapped with intrusive thoughts and ideas. I had no one to share it with when I really needed to get it out, but I kept it in. I did this over and over and over. And on the inside, I was dying. I had repeated that same behavior, telling myself, you're a good girl, you're just fine. But yet, my mother's voice in the back of my head said, you're mentally sick, you need to see a psychiatrist. I didn't. I was just a good little girl, I've come to find out. But that little inner child in me had been programmed to think I was bad. And of course, when I was in school, I got in trouble for talking too much. And I repeated that same behavior over and over until I got disciplined. It made me feel like a bad girl. We want to look now at failed plans and broken promises. The plans that I made, most of the time, generally I had good plans, good ideas. I'm a smart person. But I'd have this grandiose idea of what you needed to do, what I needed to do, and I'd have it written down and all planned, especially on trips with my family. We'd get out there and I had these grandiose plans of what my sons and I would do on vacation. Guess who would get drunk? And those plans didn't happen. Over and over. I can't tell you how many times my sons would come in and say, Mom, you need to quit drinking. And I said, oh, I'm fine. I got it. I'm going to Weight Watchers. Because I associated whenever I was going on a big diet that I had to quit drinking because it was the most fattening thing we put in our body. You know how many diets this girl went on and they were not successful? Another example of failed plans. But the hardest thing for me is the amount of broken promises that I made. There's a lot of things people call me. Bitch isn't one of them. Mean girl wasn't one of them. All I wanted was to be loved and liked. That little child had been damaged. So, I would promise you something. Oh, you're coming to my house. Why don't we do this or that? Or why don't we go on a trip? And I had these extravagant promises that I would promise people so they would love and like me. The person that didn't love and like me was me. I broke enough promises because I'm not only an alcoholic, but I'm an approval addict. I want you to love and like me. So I promised you stuff because I knew that would do it. You know what happened? Those expectations led to a resentment. And resentment is the number one killer here in these rooms of the 12-step promises. I don't break promises anymore. If I promise you something, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there on time. I'm going to do the next right thing. And I know who my real friends are. I don't have to promise them stuff to make them love and like me. It's because I have learned to love and like myself. The last thing, grip on reality. Some of the things that we say and do are so unrealistic, uncharacteristically unreal. We don't have a grip on reality. Think about this. When you put the alcohol in your body, you put a drug in your body, chemicals in your body, you're going to act and do things you would never do if you hadn't been drinking. That's not reality. But the big thing is that you're dodging reality. You don't like the way you feel. You're not willing to accept it and ask for help. Totally unrealistic. I didn't know who the real Linda Jo was until I got sober. And that was at the age of 50. I'd repeated a lot of behavior over and over, expecting a different result, and it wasn't working. I'd made a lot of promises to people that I didn't keep. I had failed at several things. But yet, the insanity of this is that for all those things I did wrong, I did a lot of things really good. I had an award-winning teaching career, 3 successful sons. I did good things. Sometimes as alcoholics, we need to look at that. You know, I had to seek outside help. Some of us have grave emotional disorders. That makes us think there's something wrong with us. I have general anxiety. I kind of have a little right now doing this show. But the reality is I can accept who I am. I'm human. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. And I'm no longer insane. I don't act out like I used to. The program of Alcoholics Anonymous has taught me how to act, not how to react. Coming up in our third in our series, discussing unmanageability, we're going to look at the value of a higher power. See you then. Let me tell you this. There'll be times in your sobriety when you need to reach out for help. Perhaps a meeting isn't convenient. Perhaps Zoom isn't convenient. But you can always log on to Silver Lining Nation and find a topic that you need to hear.
Hey guys, Lorene here with Silver Lining Nation. Hope you guys are having an amazing day, and we just want to thank you guys for tuning in to Silver Lining Nation. We really appreciate it. Also guys, make sure you share, subscribe, and most of all, stay sober. Bye guys.